This is Chris Bentson, and it's time for another reSource Minute. Today's minute is going to focus on growth and profitability over a long period of time, the last 40 years, and maybe what to expect over the last 10. So what you'll see on the top line there is overhead. They've been slightly increasing over the last 40 years, and I have reason to believe that they may decrease over the next decade. We'll talk about that. Likewise, growth actually has decreased over the last 40 years in our practices. And again, I'm optimistic about the next decade, and I think it can increase. Why do I think this? Well, if we look at the 80s, we had 7% year-over-year growth during that time in orthodontist. That means our practices doubled every 10 years, valuations were high, and we had low overhead, 50% overhead. We didn't have a lot of technology or marketing that we had to spend money on. It was a great time to be an orthodontist. In the 90s, growth slowed down a little bit to 5%. This is a time when computers entered your life. And so we went away from ledger cards and we were spending money on technology at an accelerated rate for the first time, and our overheads increased from the 80s as a result. We get to the knots and growth slowed down yet again. Why? 3 or 4 reasons. We continued to spend money on technology in our practices. We had this increased amount of competition because more orthodontists were graduating. And so we spent money for the first time on this term called marketing, and that entered our profit and loss statements. So slower growth at 3%, and it pushed our overheads up to 58%. We also had the advent of cone beams at this time for practices that implemented that. In the 10s, growth was really hard. The economy was down, and we continued to spend money on technology, not just on computers, but also on social media and marketing. And so growth has kind of, hit a ceiling at 59%, and that's after you take out all the things that you can run through your practice. And 2% growth, 59% overhead, that's kind of where we are right now. So what do I think we have to look forward to in the 20s? A return to growth. Why? Because I think market expansion is real. We've seen a lot of evidence of that with direct-to-consumer. Practices that embrace that are going to grow. And why is overhead going to go down? Because in the new digital realm of practice life, you can actually be more efficient with your staff and save money there. So I think there's reason to be optimistic about the future. This is where we've been. This is where I think we can go. That's the reSource Minute, and we thought you'd like to know.